Yo, what is going on, guys? And today I'm going to be doing a Beelzemon deck profile from BT19. And yeah, let's get straight into it. So, starting things off with Digimon Tamers, I run 4 copies of the Starter Nexus Yamon. I still really love this Digi Egg, is mainly because to be able to just mill 2 cards when you're attacking once per turn with the trait of Wizard or Demon in this trait is really nice. So, other than Impmon, which is a rookie, Champions, Ultimates, and Mega, when they attack, they'll just mill 2 cards for free, which is really good, honestly. And to be able to just mill while attacking, it just creates a lot of synergies in this deck. And yeah, this is why I just really prefer this egg over everything else right now. So, moving on to the rookies, I run 4 copies of the BT2's Impmon. To be able to mill 3 cards when it gets deleted is really good, and especially when this Digimon is a 1k DP, it's bound to get deleted. And the reason why that's good is because it not only helps me proc effects that I milled, and it also helps me fulfill the requirements of how many cards I have to have in the trash to do the proc effects. And I run 2 copies of the BT19, his Impmon. On-play skill is actually really good as well. It's because when this Digimon gets on-played, if I have 1 or less tamer on my field, I can on-play a cost 4 or less tamer from my trash to the field. And the reason why that's good is because this deck mills a lot. So therefore, to be able to on-play a tamer from your trash is really good. And it's inherent just to be able to give itself retaliation. It just makes this Digimon extra annoying to deal with. And I run 2 copies of the BT6 as Impmon. The main reason why I like it is because it's just able to just fetch me a Beelzemon from my trash for a card. And it's actually really good because when it on plays, I can just discard a card from my hand. And from my trash, I can look for a 7 Demon Lord or a 3 Musketeer and Digimon added to my hand. And I run 2 copies of the promo Impmon. And the reason why I love this card is because it's able to just on-play me a level 3 or less purple Digimon from my trash. So it's bound to be Impmon. And this Impmon has a lot of viable targets, mainly these 3. And I really love the fact that how it could just on-play something from my trash, and it also adds to my hand. And I run 1 copy of the EXO2's Impmon. Ever since the restriction, I would understand why this card is restricted to 1. It's mainly because it's just really good. So what it does is when this card gets discarded from your deck by an effect, you can discard up to 3 more cards from your deck. And its other ability is when it's on played, I can check out 4 cards in my deck. I can look for a card with Beelzemon in its name and an I am Mako and add it to my hand, and the rest goes to the bottom. And its other inherent ability is as long as the Digimon is a Beelzemon during your turn, this Digimon gets plus 2k power. And yeah, that is this card itself just does a lot for a rookie. So therefore, yeah, this card definitely has to go at 1. And even as a Beelzemon player myself, I do really approve this. Last but not least, I have 1 copy of the Impmon X antibody. So what it does is Digimon from top of an Impmon for 0, and when it's on played or when it evolves, I have to discard an option card from my hand. And by doing so, I'm able to fetch a Imp, Wizard, or Demon from my trash and add it back to my hand. And its inherit is when it attacks once per turn, I mill 2 cards from my deck. And yeah, this card is just a one-off, is mainly because if I can just add a card from my trash from rookie to mega in this deck, because this deck plays that whole entire trait of its requirement. So therefore, yeah, this card is really nice. So for the champions, I run 4 copies of the promo Beelzemon. What it does is when this card gets milled from your deck, you gain 1 memory, and its inherent ability is when the Digimon attacks, I can choose a purple card from my hand and place it on top of my deck. So usually I would mainly use this card to just gain a memory, but there's just sometimes in games where I would really want to have the inherent ability to be able to just proc off abilities that I need to be able to set up for either this turn or my next turn. And the other champion that I run is 4 copies of Wizardmon X. And what it does is evolves on top of a Wizardmon for 0. And its ability is when it evolves, I can mill 2 cards from my deck. But if this Digimon has Wizardmon or X antibody in its inheritance, this Digimon gets blocker instead. Emphasizing on earlier on the Wizardmon's ability to just plot something on top of my deck, I can just evolve this on top, and instead of milling my own deck, I will be able to give itself blocker. So therefore, yeah, this card really does come in handy sometimes. That blocker effect is really good, especially it can synergize as well with the BT19's Impmon, is because the inherit gives retaliation. So having a Digimon become blocker is really crucial. And its other ability is an inherit. Once per turn when it attacks, I can mill top 2 cards in my deck. It's the exact same inherit as Impone X antibody. So therefore, yeah, this card is really, really good overall. And for the ultimates, I run 4 copies of Beelzemon from the starter deck. So what this does is when it evolves, I can mill top 3 cards in my deck. And its other abilities when this Digimon evolves, until the end of my opponent's turn, this Digimon gets the ability of when this Digimon gets deleted, if I have 10 or more cards in my trash, I can on-play a Beelzemon from my trash for free without paying its cost. And its other inherent ability is if this Digimon has Demon or a Demon Lore in this trait, this Digimon gets 2k power. So the inherit is actually pretty meh, to be honest, but the evolution skills of both effects of Beelzemon is really, really nice, because not only it's able to self-mill, like just discard top 3 cards from my deck, it's also able to give the inherence that makes me on-play a Beelzemon for free, which is really good when it gets deleted. And the other ultimate that I run is 3 copies of Beelzemon X Antibody, and its other passive ability is it evolves on top of Beelzemon for 0. And its other ability is when it evolves, I can choose an X Antibody card from my trash and add it to my hand. Note that it has to be the X Antibody option card, so you cannot add anything that has an X Antibody in a straight. And its other ability is when it evolves, I can mill top 3 cards in my deck. But however, if this Digimon has Beelzemon in this trait or X Antibody in its sources, sorry, not trait, in its sources, I'm able to delete my opponent's level 4 or less Digimon. Being able to get rid of a body at my turn is actually really nice. And its other ability is in the inheritance, same as Beelzemon, it just gets 2k power as long as the Digimon has Demon or Demon Lore in this trait. And for the Megas, I run 3 copies of the Star Dex's Beelzemon. This is hands down my favorite Beelzemon of all time, because not only is it very aggressive, it's also really good as the evolution effect. Just everything with this card is just amazing. So what it does is when it evolves, I mill top 4 cards in my deck. I just discard top 4 cards in my deck, and during both players' turn, once per turn, when an effect mills a card from my deck, for every 10 cards I have in my trash, I can gain 1 memory. And its other ability is during my turn, if a card gets milled from my deck, during my turn, this Digimon gets +1 security. The main reason why I love this card is because not only this card just straight up mills 4 cards when you evolve on top of it, it's also really, really aggressive, and because it gains a security on its own. So this Digimon will always be swinging for 2 security at all times. And the other Beelzemons that I run are 2 copies of the EXO2's Beelzemon. So the reason why this card is really good, in my opinion, is because it just on-plays me an Imp1 from my trash to the field for free, as long as this card gets milled from my deck. And this card is mainly the reason why I run a lot of different variations of Imp1 in my rookie lineups, except that this card cannot on-play X Antibody, which is pretty sad. But however, that's still pretty good. And its other abilities are when it evolves or when it attacks, I mill top 2 cards in my deck. I can delete my opponent's level 3 or less Digimon. However, if for every 10 cards I have in my trash, I increase the level by 1. As my deck's game plan for this card is mainly because I want to be able to pop my opponent's level 5s up to level 5s during my main turn, because I don't want them to blast evolve. And so this card being able to pop my opponent's Digimon when it evolves is really good. And I run a copy of the Beelzemon from EXO6. So what it does is it has Rush, and its other ability is when it's on play or when it evolves, I can mill top 4 cards in my deck. And if I have 10 or more cards in my trash, I choose my one opponent's Digimon and it gets Digivolve 2. And its other ability is not really relevant in this deck because I don't play on 7 Demon Lords. I only play on Beelzemon. So therefore, yeah, having 1 copy of this is really nice because it really sometimes helps me close games, and the evolve effect really comes in clutch as well. And note that this card has Rush, so therefore if I just on-play Inform with this ability and you Digivolve just on top with cards that can help me warp Digivolve, I can just swing for game because it has Rush. I was thinking whether I should run 1 more, but however, I saw it more on 1 than when I ran 2, so therefore yeah, I'll just keep it there if I'm being honest. And last but not least, for the other level 6 that I run is 2 copies of Beelzemon X Antibody. This card is honestly great. It's honestly one of the, if not the best Beelzemon card out there, if I'm being honest. This card is just flat out amazing. And what it does is, it's a passive ability. It evolves on top of Beelzemon for 1. And its other abilities, when it evolves, if the Digimon has Beelzemon or X Antibody in its trait, for every 10 cards I have in my trash, I mill 1 of my opponent's security. So the idea of my deck is to be able to just use these 2 Beelzemon to just push my opponent's security as much as possible, and then while doing that, I mill my own deck, and I just Digivolve on top of this, on top of the Beelzemon if it survives the security attack. And yeah, just to be able to mill 1 to 2 security just by evolving alone is really good itself. And the other ability is when Digimon gets deleted, from my trash, I can on-play main Impmon for free. So not only if this Digimon dies, I can still on-play another body for free. And yeah, that is a really good skill if I'm being honest. This card is definitely, for me, always going to be a 2-of every time I play the Beelzemon deck. Hands down, because I just love this card so much. Sometimes maybe it could go at 1, but I just really love it at 2. Finally, for the level 7s, I run a copy of the Beelzemon Blast Mode from the starter deck. So what it does is the exact same as the EX02's ability. To be able to delete my opponent's level 2 Digimon, but for every 10 cards I have in my trash, I can increase the level by 1. But however, the requirement is just to be able to get milled from the deck. So that is actually really good, because you can just recycle it in your deck, or you can just flat out just catch your opponents off guard when this card just gets milled. Because to be able to kill a rookie is really good, especially in this current meta right now. And its other ability is when it evolves, this Digimon unsuspends. However, if I have 20 more cards in my trash, I can gain 3 memory. So to be able to unsuspend itself and gain 3 memory, either to close off games or to have a 14k block on the field, is actually pretty nice as well. And last but not least, I run a copy of the Beelzemon Blast Mode Ace. I did try to run 2 copies of it in the deck, but however, nah man, this card is just way too defensive to begin with. And yes, you can still use the abilities to close off games, but however, the game has to be at really late game to be able to fully close your opponent off, because its abilities are quite janky at the moment. But however, the good thing I like about this Beelzemon Ace is because it's so painfully generic, you can literally run it in any purple deck and it works. But for non-Beelzemon, I would prefer to just keep it at 1. So its passive abilities are, when it evolves on top of Beelzemon for 4. But however, if you evolve on top of any level 6, it'll cost 5. And its other abilities from hand, I can counterblast Evo, and when the Digimon evolves or when it's on play, I can delete my opponent's level 6 so that's Digimon. But if I have 10 or more cards in my trash, I can delete one of my opponent's Digimon instead. So from having a requirement of deletion to having no requirement of deletion is really good, because just 10 or more cards, it's really easy to achieve in a Beelzemon deck. And its other ability is when it attacks once per turn. From my trash, other than Digimon Tamers, I can put 10 cards from my trash on top of my deck, and if I do so, I mill one of my opponent's security. And note that this effect does not say up to. So therefore, the only way you can activate this ability is if you put exactly 10 cards from your trash to the top. That's why that's why the mill 1 security effect is really nice as well. And yeah, the idea of this deck is mainly just to be able to be as aggressive as possible in the early game, and then my opponent commits, or he wants to counter me, and I'll just blast evolve on top of the Beelzemon that I currently have, and then my opponent's, assuming that he's gonna have 1 security left, attack, put these 10 cards from the trash on top, and then just mill security and then swing for game. So therefore, I just really like that flavor. And yeah, honestly, this card is pretty decent. But however, I just really love the idea of being able to evolve for free during my opponent's turn and to be able to just close off games. So these 2 are practically just finishes, right? So it's pretty alright. So for the Tamers, I run 4 copies of the starter decks as I'm Mako. So what it does is when it's on play, I take top 4 cards in my deck, and I can add a Imp, Demon, or Demon Lord Digimon card from amongst them and add it to my hand, and the rest goes to the bottom. And its other ability is during my turn, when one of my purple Digimon evolves, by resting this Tamer, I can put a card from the top of my deck and I can gain 1 memory. So this card really changes the deck a lot, because you want to be able to plot what you want to mill, and to be able to gain memory off that is really nice as well. And the other Tamer I run is 2 copies of the Iron Mako from BT19, which is a brand new Tamer. So what it does is when it's on my main phase, if my opponent has a Digimon, I can gain 1 memory. And its main ability is if I have 20 more cards in my trash, by resting this Tamer, I can warp Digivolve an Impmon to a Beelzemon from my hand or trash for 4 costs. And yeah, this card unfortunately is not as good as the starter deck one, but to be able to just warp Digivolve an Impmon to either close out games or just filter more resources is pretty handy as well. But however, the requirement of it is quite high, because you have to have 20 more cards in the trash, which by then, if you still don't have enough setup, is kind of underwhelming. But however, yeah, this card just at most can be a 2 if I'm being honest. I might even cut it up to 1 just because of the rest ability. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Tamers. And last but not least, for the option cards, I'm going to go through it real quick. So I run 3 copies of Miss Memory Boost. Just mill top 2 cards in my deck and draw 1. And it's delayed just to gain 2 memory. And I run 2 copies of Death Slinger to just gain a memory if it gets milled. And its main ability is I can kill level 4 or less Digimon of my opponents. But for every 10 cards in my trash, I can plus 1 level of that effect. And its security ability is to just activate its main ability. And the main reason why this Slinger is always going to be a good card in the deck is because it just synergizes with the deck way too well. And especially with Beelzemon Ace, to be able to just put this card back on top of the deck, which gives it extra ways to either gain a memory or just to be able to pop my opponent's Digimon by just hard casting it. And last but not least, I run 2 copies of I forgot what's his Barrage. I forgot what's his option card's name. Sorry guys, because I haven't read my cards in a very long while. Like I meant the name wise. So what it does is when this card gets milled from my deck, I can place it onto the battle area straight up. And its main ability is I can delete my opponent's highest level Digimon. And its other main ability is delay. So for my trash, I can bring back a purple Digimon Tamer from my trash and add it back to my hand. So note that if we do use his main ability, it doesn't go to the battle area. It only goes to the battle area if this card gets milled from your deck. I think this card is honestly a very, very good card, if I'm being honest. So before the Ace mechanic and the Overflow mechanic was a thing, hard casting it would have a lot of repercussion. However, because a lot of decks are playing Ace nowadays, hard casting it is actually not really a bad idea anymore. Same goes with Beelzemon as well. And so yeah, that is pretty much it for my deck profile for Beelzemon, guys. Please let me know what you guys think about this deck profile, and note that this deck profile is mostly just for casual play, and it could be used for competitive play as well. But if you guys do want to play competitive, make sure to know how your locals or how the trend of depending on where you are living is going. I think it's mainly in Japan, like or just in Asia in general, we just really love fast playing. We just like setting up as fast as possible and just killing our opponents as fast as possible. But I understand in the West it's a bit more stally, a bit more generic reliant. But however, in mostly Asia, we just play around themes a lot. And yeah, this is pretty much it for this deck profile. And will I play competitive in Digimon? Maybe in the future, but for now, I'm really happy just playing casually for now. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys very soon with a deck profile either of Dukemon or Gallantmon or Sakuyamon very soon. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, peace, and goodbye.